Friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Savannah. I am the owner and operator of Paws and Relax mobile pet grooming and Reiki services, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing something that you need to look out for in either your own dogs or your client dogs about their nails. So if this is something that interests you, just continue to keep watching. Okay, hey guys, this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time. Unfortunately, Sweet Rufus, which I've featured on my channel before, has since passed away since this video. It's been almost a year. Anyways, this has been on my video list for a while, and I think it's important to talk about. Rufus was my parents' dog. I actually found him for them when they were looking for a second dog, and he came home to them on Christmas, and he stayed with me for a while, and I feel like he was one of my heart dogs, just like such a sweet, gentle soul that had a really hard first few years of his life before being surrendered to a rescue and rescued by my parents. So today I want to talk about how we discovered that Rufus had nail cancer and had to have one of his toes amputated. So, I have some notes here from before. This is from a few years ago, so I'm just going off of notes and my memory. I also have some pictures to include here to kind of show what to look for. And yeah, let's just get started. So, obviously, being my parents' dog, I was Rufus's regular groomer, and one summer I noticed that one of his back nails started looking larger than the other ones. Now, at first, I thought that this could be pretty normal. I've seen this in dogs before, that they've damaged their nail, there's been trauma to the nail, maybe the nails got too long, they broke off, and then when it grew back, the nail was kind of thicker than the other ones, that sort of thing. So to me at the beginning, it looked like it was just a damaged nail. In kind of the middle of it, there was a little bit of like a knot, and then it was thicker. So I assumed that there was damage. It was just growing a bit larger, and as it kind of grew out and we kind of cut away that thick part of the nail, it would come back smaller like the other ones. So shortly after that, my parents noticed that that nail in particular grew really fast. I was coming over to their house to cut it weekly, because it was growing so fast and it was quite large, and it seemed to start bothering him. Now, what I started noticing about this nail was that it was a lot larger than the other ones. It was very flaky on the outside, and it was also hollow when I cut it. So the part that was very thick was hollow up until right by his paw where the quick would actually be. And honestly, it almost seemed like the quick was disappearing in a way. After a few months of going over weekly, because we usually go over for Sunday suppers, and I would just bring my clippers with it. After a few months, I knew that something was off. Normally when there's nail trauma, yes, I notice that sometimes the nails get bigger and harder and weird for a while, but they don't need to be trimmed any more often than the other nails. And by the end of when I was kind of doing it weekly and then suggested to them they should go get it checked out, it was hard to know where to cut, because before it started hollow, but then it almost started to get kind of soft in a way. Very hard to explain, and when I was cutting it, it seemed painful to him. So the first trip to the vet with Rufus, they didn't know what it was. They agreed with me, and they assumed that it was just trauma from the nail, and they wanted to keep it trimmed short. So we continued to do that, but I knew something was off. This was not like anything I had seen before. So the second trip to the vet, it was larger and longer, and the vet said that it needed to come off. The nail was getting even larger, it was longer, the texture of it was just so odd. I wish I had like videos of this, but I don't. It was so hard to know what to cut off and what not to, because it was like flaky yet soft. It was just very bizarre. So, and by this point we could tell he was uncomfortable. So they suggested surgery to remove the nail and possibly the toe. So they gave my parents the option to pay to get it tested, to see if there was anything going on with the nail, and like they said, possibly cancer. And my parents didn't want to send it away to get tested. We're of the belief, both my parents and I kind of agree on this. Everybody's going to have a different stance. It's not going to matter to us if our pets have cancer or not. We're just going to love them as they are, especially because Rufus was getting older. It's not like he could go through any extensive treatment and that sort of thing. So it's one of those things where you almost just don't want to know what it is, because you're not going to change how you are going about things with them. So they opted not to send it away. When this was first going on, I posted about this on a grooming page, and I will see if I can find the screenshots of that. But actually many other groomers in the group suggested it was cancer before we even took him to the vet for the first time. Mixed reviews of both cancer or trauma to the nail like we thought, but because it kept changing, I just knew something was off. And guys, those grooming groups on Facebook, there are so many pros and cons to them. You definitely have to like pick the right group that has the right like admins and moderators to keep it, I don't know, not crazy in there. But anyways, that is besides the point. So that being said, before my parents started taking him to the vet, I was honest with them. I was like, these other groomers say that it could be cancer, but like, don't be freaked out. And I want to remind you guys, if you are a groomer, or a pet professional, we are not vets and we can't diagnose. You want to be very careful about trying to diagnose things, because that could come back on you very badly. But I do feel it is our job to let the owners know that if something looks off, and suggesting that they go to the vet. Yeah, like, don't freak them out, but be like, hey, like, this nail looks different. I deal with dog nails all the time, and something just seems off here. That being said, we monitored the nail for a while, and yeah, it was just different than a trauma nail. So even though my parents opted to not get it sent away for testing, the vets, after I think like a week or something, they called and said that the testing came back that it was cancer. Now, my assumption is, and this is totally just an assumption, because my parents didn't pay for the testing, somebody probably had to pay for it. And honestly, the vets where they went seemed pretty stumped in the beginning of what it was and why it wasn't going away, why it was getting larger, that whole thing. So I think they wanted to know what was going on. So they sent it away for testing anyways. Now, whether they should have told my parents that it was cancer or not, because they almost didn't really want to know, is up for debate. But it is very interesting. So turns out that he had cancer on his nail. So he ended up getting, or probably in his nail, actually. So he ended up getting his nail and his one toe removed. He did very well with recovery, and once it was healed, that foot never seemed to bother him again. We never noticed anything come back on the same foot. The vet wanted us to monitor for any other nails looking like that, or any of his toes kind of like looking weird and blowing up. He walked normal afterwards without that toe. It was easy to groom him afterwards. He never had any other issues with cancer after that. He ended up dying from, I believe it was an enlarged spleen. Yeah, but it wasn't related to anything in his foot. Now, I just want to reinforce that this story doesn't mean every nail that looks like this is cancer. I have definitely seen traumatized nails that just purely grow out and go back to looking normal. And it's no big deal. But I just thought I had to share this story with you guys to look out for this in your own dogs or your clients. And yeah, just in general, if you feel something is off, let the owners know. Be careful not to try to diagnose, and keep an eye on things, keep tab on things, keep notes every time you groom the dog, if things change, that sort of thing. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you guys part of my YouTube family. And if you've experienced anything like this before, nail cancer or any other weird kind of cancers or things you think our fellow pet professionals should know, please leave them down in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.